everyone, welcome to my channel, Hey Womenaire. I hope that you all are doing well. I am Nida, and as promised, we are back with our first episode with one of our most talented technical expert, Madona Syombua. So let's get started. Hello Madona, welcome to Hey Womenaire. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you. So today I'm very grateful and excited to talk to Madona Syombua. She's an Android developer, founder of Budgeting Buddy. She also runs a YouTube channel where she talks about Android-related topics. So all the Android people, it's for you. The link is in the description to check it out. She's not just a developer. She's an inspirational mother, a beloved wife, and an outstanding mentor. So, Madona, would you like to please tell something about yourself and about your journey so far?
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting question that I get all the time. So again, like you've mentioned, my name is Madona Syombua. I am a mother to two adorable kids. They keep me very much occupied, I can say. And with everything happening in the world right now, I can say that it's been pretty tough for us moms, but we're trying to get through it. So I started my journey of Android development back in 2015. I think that's almost like 5 years. But roughly I started like doing Java programming in overall like back in 2013. So I can say from 2013 to now, almost like 7 years in the industry, 8 years. So it's been a pretty interesting journey. So one of the reasons that made me actually move to Android development was the fact that I looked into Java development and I did not like the way we used to build stuff, for example, the inventory systems. So I looked into what can actually do with Java. And the good thing is that with our career, things actually keep changing, like technology keeps changing. So I was like, wait a minute. So they do Android actually in Java. And that's how I began doing Android. And then I was able to launch my first application, Simple Math, back in 2015, which had 500 downloads with a 4.5 rating. And I think that is what kickstarted my career because I was very encouraged by the 4.5 rating, I would say.
Wow, that's what really inspiring. You are a founder of Budgeting Buddy. What was the main motive, coming up with Budgeting Buddy? What is it all about?
Okay, so Budgeting Buddy is a budgeting tool that I created during a Grow with Google scholarship back in 2018. So this was a program that was in cooperation with Udacity and Google, where they give developers from around the world an opportunity to learn how to make cottage applications just through like Google developers. And they wanted somebody like as a student, you're supposed to do one capstone project and you're supposed to submit because the program ran like a year. So what happened is that I came up with an idea and I kind of like I thought of a project in which that I would make something that would actually help me save money on my side because I thought it really affected me. I know there are many budgeting apps out there, but I wanted something that I can customize on the way I felt like it should look like. And I think that's one of the best ways that people can actually jump into little projects by finding, it doesn't matter if somebody has already made the application now. Find something that you're really passionate about, even if it's an exercise in her app, and try to just customize it the way you want it to be. So that's what I did. And I submitted it as my capstone project. And actually, it has now 5,000 downloads with a 4.5 rating too, which is pretty good. So I think I'm lucky. And I think I really love it so far. I do not monetize on it because it was basically just a project that I wanted to do so that I can learn doing Android development. Not to discourage you, I think so many things have changed because now we're using Kotlin 100%. So still trying to make sure that I'm in the game always.
That's great, huh?
Yeah.
So, you are in this field for a quite long time, right?
Mhm.
Technical field. And being in this field for a quite long time not only requires hard work, it also
Yeah.
requires patience and perseverance, right?
Yeah.
So, what are the challenges that you faced throughout your journey?
I think one of the biggest challenge I can say we face as developers in general first is the fact that our industry keeps changing a lot, and then it keeps challenging you to always be on the learning curve every other time, which is actually a good thing and also a kind of like a discouraging thing too. I think, like I mentioned before, if you're not willing to actually learn in this industry, I think it's the wrong industry for you. Because today you might find out that you're actually using like Java in your at work, and then tomorrow your boss comes in and tells you, stop. We're gonna start learning Kotlin. We're gonna start using. So it makes you feel like you're always a student, which is a good thing to others, which is bad. I've had that kind of challenge. For myself, I would say the biggest challenge is being able to keep up because there's so many things that are coming up that actually sometimes discourage you. Like let's say you have 5 years experience in Java development, right? And then all of a sudden we have this particular new language that you need to learn because everybody now has moved over. So that it is challenging sometimes, like just adapting and making sure you know like what they're making, how it's made, how the syntax work together, how you can actually make it the cleanest. It's like you're relearning some things all over again. But not to say that it's a bad thing. It is a good thing for sure because I mean I like learning too. So those are the biggest challenges. That's the biggest challenge that I've seen, that not being able to keep up. And I think many people have quit due to that because they're like, I also had a question. I remember I've mentored some students, and I remember one student asking me, how do you maintain to be a master of one and not a master of none? Because there's all this many technology, like there's React, there's Dart, there's Flutter. What do I use? Which one do I jump with? Which one do I start with? Do I start with Kotlin? Do I start with? So you find that many students, they're confused. But what I can say is that find one language first and actually be good in that particular language. And then actually moving from that language to another one becomes much easier. That is something that I've learned. Because also when I was developing for Java, when I started developing for Kotlin, one thing that I was able to pick up on pretty quick was, oh, so this is how they're changing actually the way they call their classes. Oh, so this is actually how they're changing how they pass their constructors. Oh, so actually this is how they do their syntax when they want to open an intent or something. So I was able to do the comparison and that helped. So that's just an advice, but I think it's pretty challenging.
Yes.
Yeah, being in the industry, I think we faced kind of like similar problems. And
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest that I've seen on my side. Because otherwise, I feel like other industries don't have that particular kind of change a lot. But I feel like what we need to do moving forward is maybe the developing industry, which might be a little bit tough, is find something and then actually try to fix and how to see how we can actually make it a better language. Like I'm hoping 10 years down the lines, we don't come up with another new language to use like in Android development, because we already had Java, Kotlin. I'm not expecting we'll have a new one called something else, because then I think we should have perfected maybe Kotlin, we should have made it much better such that people are able to use it within over time, such like securities, people understanding it very well. Because if we keep moving like that, I think we are able to vulnerably build not clean applications, because then many people still don't understand. They need time to start learning whatever is coming out. So that's just a thing I've always thought of and felt. So, but I don't know if people share the same kind of thought with me.
Yeah, I totally agree with you here. There's a question which many women have there in mind,
Okay.
that how do you manage your personal and professional life simultaneously?
Yeah. I think that's a pretty interesting question, and it's also very tough. I think one thing that I can say is that I'm also a student, which I know many people that don't know. So how do I manage all this, like being able to work, study, and also take care of kids? I think I will admit that during quarantine, it's been very tough because the kids are now full time in the house. When the kids go to school, it's much easier because you're able to like have hours of just working from home without anybody bothering you, so you're able to achieve a lot. But now what I've realized that I've started doing is having a timetable that states that at this particular time I'll be doing this, at this particular time I'll be doing this. So I try so hard to stick to it, because I know if I do not stick to it, then I'll be procrastinating. And then the next day, I'll not do anything. So it's about self-discipline. Most I can say is this is just self-discipline. And actually, I was just talking to my friend the other day, and I was showing her, like, because on our phones nowadays, we have this thing that tells well-being, and where you check how long you've been on your phone. And I shared screenshots of like 3 weeks, like consecutive 3 weeks, where my limit was 2 hours on the phone. Like the entire day, I only spent 2 hours. So it means at least I'm sacrificing some other stuff that I don't value to be very important, and getting the important things done. I know it's pretty tough, but sometimes I don't, unless I'm speaking to my family members on my phone, or just checking on how other people are doing. Like if you send me a message, I will not ignore my friends. I normally respond, but not just be scrolling over social media or looking. I think one of the things that actually impressed me is that, like, on my social media, I spend like 5 on each app, which I think is very funny. I spend like 5 minutes, like approximately. So I wouldn't say people who do it that it's a bad thing. Maybe they find a way of their balance. But for me, what works is just being able to do what I feel like is needed. Like if I have a deadline for a research paper, I need to be able to work on that fast, because otherwise then I'm going to fail. If I have my kids that I'm not actually educating from home, like they need 2 hours or 1 hour of study, I'm going to make sure that I prepare a structure where we can do it within 2 hours and we're done, and then I can get back to work. It's pretty tough, but I mean, there's just that balance where you create. I don't want to say I'm very organized, because I don't want to paint a perfect picture. No, but it's just keep like pushing yourself. We become our better versions if we push ourselves. So it's about pushing ourselves. Let's push ourselves to become best.
It is tough, but not impossible, right?
Yes, that's a very good point. That's it. It's tough, but it's not that it's impossible. Now you can do it. Just find what works for you. Like what tricks work best, or how can you actually make sure that this one works.
Right. And entering any field, suffer from imposter syndrome, which is very common. So, that often compels them to take a step backward, and which somehow kills the, inner potential in them. So, what are your views on this?
I think that's a very good point, good question too, because I feel like many students that I've even mentored over time, because I do mentoring at CodePath for the summer period this time around, and I've had the imposter syndrome is a very big issue, and I feel like this one does not only apply to technology. Imposter syndrome applies to all the fields, and this is just something which has to do with an individual, us as a people, as a human, I mean, not even a race, as a humanity. And I feel like the biggest thing is you're your best cheerleader and you're your first cheerleader. Nobody is going to cheerlead on you apart from you. And that's how we overcome this imposter syndrome. It's about you always knowing that, hey, look, I know I'm good at this and I know I can do it. And you believe in that. Because if you don't believe in that, who's going to believe in you? You have to be the first person who actually believes in you, which I know it's pretty tough sometimes. It's very hard. But remember again, it's in our mind. I think the mind is pretty powerful. Once we set it to something, we can achieve. Let me give you a scenario. You might find that you're actually doing pretty well at school, sorry, where you're getting like all A's in your class. But when you go to the exam room, you're still scared.
Yeah.
Yet, you've been getting A's, which shows that you already know the material. But why are you tensed? It's the same thing. Why are you tensing? So is it that you're afraid of failure? Is that what we are afraid of as a human? Or somebody else perceiving us as failures? Or somebody else thinking of us of. So we have to look at what actually lingers into our minds when that situation happens. So what I can say is this. For me, how am I able to overcome it? This is what I normally say. Pick every situation as a positive learning situation. If you went for an interview today and failed that interview, no matter how many interviews you failed, do not quit. You know why? Because that does not define you. And the best thing you can do from the failed interviews is pick that particular interview, the first one, the second one, the third one, as a learning process. Write down the notes. What were you asked? And then always be fair to yourself. Very important. Because let me say something. You might find that you were in an interview situation and then you got asked something actually in sincerity you didn't even know. Why would you be fair to you? Why would you be unfair to yourself? I mean, you didn't know that stuff. So the best thing you can do is look it up, write it down, and make sure that on your next interview, you brought something along, Another interview went and failed. What were the questions that they asked? Write them down later. That's the good thing. Like, always take notes. Like, okay, so I failed, I think, because I did not answer this one. But also, I can mention one thing that I've noticed that one of my mentors that mentored me back in the days is that the reason so many people fail the interviews is because they fail to explain the what, how, and why. So if you structure your interviews or your answering questions in what, why, and how, you end up pointing. Let's say, for example, like if you ask a question about dependency injection, you're supposed to state what is dependency injection. Don't jump into giving like where you would use it. A use case now. Give it a definition first. What is it? How would you use it? And why? Why is it important to be used?
Yeah.
See, when you approach a situation like that, you find that you actually end up in the winning side. Composure. Bring water on the interview, or bring water on your interview day. Keep it close because we all tense because we think we're not good enough. Bring water. Write it down. Remember the what, why, and how. You can the what, why, and how. Those two, the last two can actually intertwine, but the first one, it has to come first. Like, what is it? If, for example, you're asked, what is RX Java? Answer, what is it? And then how, go to how. Or you can do why, and then you finish with how. So again, remember, always, my biggest point on this one is always be your own cheerleader. Take each step as a learning process, and please don't be hard on yourself. The world is already hard on us. Why would you be hard on yourself,
That's great. Even we need failure to be successful. Failures are very necessary to get successful.
That's very true too.
Yeah. So there are many people, many women, I would say that they are not well versed with the field of technology, but they are struggling to make their career in this field. So what advice would you like to give to them?
I think the notion that women cannot do it is not okay. And I've seen that where there's a lot of disrespect when it comes to women engineers. I don't know why, but I feel like it's a thing that has been there since time immemorial. What I can say is that don't let anything discourage you. We're living in a very tough period right now where one salary will not sustain your house. And I feel like it's good for everybody to be ambitious. I think if anybody stoned anyone or spoke bad of people who are ambitious, that would be wrong. Because so you want me to just sit there and expect what to rain down, like food to come down, or we have to work hard. So if anybody's feeling like they want to join women want to join their career or their technology career, don't let anything deter you. One thing that I can advise though is this: look into other free learning sources. Let's say, for example, you're coming in through college, right? If you want to go to college, when you're going to school, one thing that I found that is very important and always helps is if you're given a particular material and you're not understanding it, there's so many free materials online right now. Take that time and dig deep on your own. Like, for example, you're given data structures. There's so many topics now in data structures. So if you're not understanding the one that your professor is teaching, go to YouTube. Those free sites, just find videos and just watch, take notes, learn. I always feel the good success in learning is when people learn by themselves too, where you take time. Okay, if you're not going to take the path of education, let's say self-educated developers, it is okay for everybody actually to try that way too, to see if actually you're in for that. So the way you would do this one is this online MOOC, open source, learning for free. I know now they're charging, but not a lot. They actually allow you to actually view the course where you don't have to submit any assignments. But the fact that you're given this amazing organized courses for free, take advantage of that and teach yourself. And again, remember, don't let anybody tell you cannot do it, because they don't know you. You know you, and it's about you. So I always keep saying, I know sometimes that negative thoughts that really affect us, like negative comments, but we need to learn that they should not define us. I know it's a very hard concept that I've seen people struggling with that. But once it gets into your mind that actually it it shouldn't affect you because that is just their opinion, I think we become successful. And that's how I live, actually. I don't think if somebody said something negative about me, it would affect me, because I'm like, wait, that is your opinion. I know myself,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are many women also who are not
Mm-hmm.
able to step out of their house due to some
Mm-hmm.
problem or some restriction. So, is
Mm-hmm.
there any possible way out for them? You think that they can enter this field of technology by that?
I think that's a very good point. And I feel like some of the challenges, like say, like I don't want to call it, I feel like I don't like using the terms that other people use, but I'm saying, let's say, for instance, that somebody comes from a poor place and they really want to join this particular industry, and it's pretty hard for them to even get a laptop. I do know that's a very challenge, that's a very big challenge. But also, just to bring in some light, is that I do know there are organizations that actually donate some stuff like that. Let's say, for example, you're very interested. We can get stuff like that going by looking up. One of the things that we can actually do is that through the website, where, like for example, your website, you can search for these resources where people actually get kind of like free laptops or donated laptops, where you can connect them with those laptops for free. If you find somebody actually does this particular donation, and I've also seen, like on Twitter, not to deviate from my point, but I've seen on Twitter sometimes people keep saying they have a giveaway, like a free laptop to developers who actually want it, like from other countries. So that's one of it, where you can be on the lookout for those, where you're like, hey, we need this one. Also, something else I would encourage is joining, let's say if it's a woman, joining the Women Who Code, or, women supported groups in technology. Because through those ones, once you're in there and you become like part of it, and then you say you come from this particular area, you are not able to achieve this, you're able to be connected to the leadership, let's say like the local chapter of, like, let's say for instance, Women Who Code. And once you're in there, I think Women Who Code local chapter, for example, for India, they should be able to help see how they can actually raise something for you. Because I think we need to be a welcoming and a willing society where we should help the people who are actually in need, and also who also want to join and they cannot join based on the fact that they don't have the resources, or they don't have a way about on how they can do it. I normally, for myself, I give away books a lot, like programming books. I think like last year I did like 7 books, like programming books, where I donated them to several students in different universities across the world, which I thought was a pretty good thing, because we can do that. So it's how we will connect them with the resources they want, just through communities. Make sure that if you find out that there's a Women Who Code or a chapter, for example, in India, I think there are more, right? Where they support each other. Just join the group, be in a group. It's good to work as a community and like working as yourself, because you'll never find help if you're alone.
Yes. There are many communities, women-based communities like Women Who Code and Women Tech Makers, which
Yeah.
really help other women. Very good. That a very great point raised by you. Now I would come to my favorite question I wanted to ask.
Okay.
It would be that, you have mentioned the challenges that you have faced. So,
Yeah.
despite facing all such challenges, how do you keep yourself motivated?
I think I would say, as a mother, you need to show your kids that actually, not even showing them, you need to be like a role model, where they can look up to you. I know it's not about just me having people to look up to, but I think just as myself, there's something that's called self discipline. What is self discipline? Self discipline is the ability of me sticking to what I want to achieve in life. I kind of like, not in a bad way, but I have issues when somebody doesn't have like an expectation in their life. I find it very a little bit discouraging because I feel like once you have an expectation or where you want to be, it's very important. Many of the interviewers, for instance, they ask you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Why do you think they ask that particular question? It's because they want to see, they don't know where you want to be in 5 years, but they want to see, do you have like that mental capacity to think of what you really want to achieve? So is that what I'm talking about? Being able to know that, hey, actually I think in 5 years I really want to achieve this. So that one really keeps me in check because I'm like, I have goals, I have what I want to achieve. I really want to be good at this particular scenario.
Yeah.
So having that discipline and having that in mind, like I said, I want to graduate. I want to do this. I want to be able to be a good Android developer. I want to be able to be good at this particular thing. So having that in mind and in our dreams and also as a career objective, it's very important. So it's good for everybody to always have that because that keeps you in check because it tells you that you're actually looking forward to something. Not only for the kids, that's why I mentioned not only for the kids, just for yourself too. It shouldn't be about the kids, it should be about yourself too as an individual, knowing that in 5 years I really want to achieve this. And actually, something else that I want to mention in that we always have those plans, but sometimes we don't achieve them. I don't think that should also put us down. I feel like I've seen many motivational speakers mention it shouldn't be the last if it doesn't work out. No, no, no. That is that is very true. Let it not be the last if it doesn't work out. Look forward to another strategy. Say, yeah, I did not achieve it, but I know I'll achieve it. One day it's gonna work out. One day it's gonna come. And you keep pushing. Because actually you're always pushing in the world. That's what we're doing. Just always keep pushing on. Breaking bricks, walls after brick was just moving, making this adventurous thing called life be adventurous.
That was that was really motivational. So it was really nice talking to you, and I'm really
Mhm.
thankful to you that you took out some time to join me in this conversation. Just to conclude, I want you to give
Mhm.
some advice to the youth, especially the girls who wants to pursue their career in this field of technology.
Yeah. So I think my advice would just revolve around the communities, like I mentioned. You mentioned, I think many international organizations have community chapters. Like I've seen now this grasshopper, like in many communities around the world. There's women who code around many communities around the world, and women tech makers, as you mentioned. And I also believe in each and every country there is maybe one or two devs chapters or communities that work around. I feel like my biggest advice would actually relay on those ones. Join communities, work together as a team, find out what they're doing, what's happening, how can you be involved, how can you contribute, how can you grow yourself? Because I believe once you come up as a team, there's so many things you learn from someone else that you could have not have learned alone, you know? Whereas if you join a community, you'll find that, oh, today they're actually doing an introduction to that. Today they're talking about Go. I've never heard of Go. What is it? Go to those communities. Go find out what they're talking about, what they're doing, and how you can get engaged. Volunteer. It's always a good sign of you being very actually interested in that particular concept and topic. So with that, I'm also very grateful for you for starting this. I'm very proud of you.
Thank
I am very proud of you. I mean, I think you're doing a pretty good job.
you.
And I hope that you get more women coming on board, and looking forward to it being a very big, successful trip, up learning process for you too.
Yeah.
So I pray for your success on this issue and hope that you achieve your greatest of goals, because that's what we want to see. When other women win, we all win, because a, it's not about us against it, it's about us being for each other, women supporting other women too.
Thank you so much, Madonna. So if anyone wants to connect to Madonna, then you can just connect her on LinkedIn or on Twitter. She will be available. It was very nice talking to you.
It was nice talking to you too,
Thank
Nita.
you.